Hello, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? We're all good? All right. So, like Dimitri said, residuals could be a time-consuming task that everyone in this room probably has to go through. So the idea is to be able to take that raw data and be able to import it into Iris and have Iris calculate everyone's commissions for you. So you can save all the time either to sell more or grow and expand. That's always a benefit. So this is where you will be importing your residual reports. But what I wanted to talk about initially is the fee verifier. We've been working on this fee verifier to double check not your buy rates, your income. So the first example I have is the Paso fee verifier. So this example here is from Pfizer North Paso reports. It's the detailed report that you get from First Data. Now, as you see for February 2022, there's no impact because this is the baseline. Now, if you were to import March, you see this impact of 600, let me zoom in maybe you guys can see, $680.52. This is implying that your buy rates as an ISO has been changed, updated. And you may not know, you may know, you may not know, but we just want to be able to show you that information up front based on the report that was imported. So when we go ahead and click on that impact, we can see all sorts of fees. The most common terminologies for these fees that you may recognize are on a level 2 level, and fees such as a very common one, transactions. Oh. Right here. So these three fees here consist of your transaction fees. You can see that in this case, there's no impact. So you're okay to say that your transaction fees are the same buy rate as expected. Let's look at base discount. So base discount is a fee that you get charged that's based on the volume processed for each merchant. Here, your buy rate is known as 1 basis points, but it seems that the report has calculated to be a little bit more than 1 basis point. So this would negatively affect you as an ISO and something that could be easily overlooked. It's less than 1 basis points of a difference, causing a $291 difference towards you guys in this case. We are also able to see which merchants are affected in this manner. So by clicking on this merchant conflict section, we can look at a list of all the merchants and their buy rates and in which they were calculated in this report. Any questions on this so far? All right. Huh? Yeah, the first data report is amazing. Yeah. Sure. Louis, wait. Gonna. No pressure.
Um, so it's showing you that it's wrong from First Data or whoever, in this case I think it was First Data, is charging you too much. So the merchant list is just showing you which merchants, but it's really like either we have our buy rate in there wrong or First Data. It's not really saying the merchants are set up wrong.
Yeah, so the idea is that you have a certain rate, that you get charged. The idea is that we want to show you which merchants are charged which rate. Like, how are you being billed from, in this case, First Data for a given merchant. Sometimes this rate could vary. Sometimes you may have tiered system and it's expected for these differences. We can also accompany that and have different tiered systems for different merchants, and you can have different grouping of rates. But in this case, it's not expected. It's saying that this one is 1.4 basis points. This one is 1.3 basis points. So we're able to show you on a per merchant level of these varied rates. And so you can provide a list, and you can even export this. You can provide a list to First Data and be able to say, hey, why am I being billed differently on these merchants? Yeah.
So to add to what Mohammed is saying, so we've been working on a residuals verifier for about 2 years. The Residuals Verifier is compatible with multiple processors, where Fiserv North is one, and Elevon and Priority and PaySafe, Vantiv, etc.
That's it.
So all of the most common portfolios out there. So what the Residuals Verifier will do is ensure that you are being paid correctly based on your own Schedule A with the processor. That is the key. So what it will do is, instead of you having to hire a CFO or perform Excel-like magic, you can plug in your buy rates one time, and every report you move forward will automatically be verified. And what Mohammed is showing is how the system will flag and present you that information. So you can export this and present this to any processor and say, hey, my expected buy rate is X, 3 cents. You charged me 5 cents for this particular line item. Here is a list of 500 merchants that were affected. Please take a look. So it basically provides you the information on a silver platter. Instead of having to look for a needle in a haystack, you're able to automatically set up your expectations, and the system will automatically detect if there are any anomalies or unexpected things, which happen, and it happens pretty frequently with a lot of different, and the more folks you do business with, the more opportunity it can happen. So when you upload your residuals, this will happen automatically after you set up your buy rates one time. Questions?
Oh, yeah.
As I said, it's an excellent report. But my question is, the Schedule A, and maybe most people also have it, our Schedule A with First Data is on a sliding scale based on volume. You do X volume, it's transaction or volume, that changes. Is that some sort of a component that can be looked in or can be included, so that, because that is really where we might miss it, because if we've hit our benchmark, our milestone, and we may not realize that the transaction buy rate needs to come down or it needs to get adjusted on the entire book of business. Again, that's a separate issue from what you already have, which is great, but is that something in the forefront?
Yeah, so being able to, you guys already know that these rates can vary from month to month, and it may be expected. So this rate that you have in Iris doesn't always have to be stagnant. You can always go through this manage buy rate section and be able to update your buy rates for a given fee. So if I go ahead and do this. So these are all the fees on your report. You can always go into here if it's expected that your transactions or your volume, those kind of rates would be adjusted. You can always go ahead and say my base discount will be changed. It will be maybe 1.5. 1.5.
Mohammed, let me sorry guys. Let me ask you another way. I'm going to give you a specific example, right? Just hypothetically. Let's say our buy rate per transaction from a processor is 5 cents per transaction, all the way up to 100,000 transactions per month, right? If it goes over 100,000, it comes to be, let's say, 2 cents or whatever number, less.
Yeah.
Can that be something that can be automated with CRM that would watch and flag that, okay, when the residual report from Paso comes and gets integrated and now gives us the data and it's 100, so we don't have to take the time to watch. It would automatically flag and say, oh, now it needs to be 2 cents. Did your processor change that or not? You understand where I'm going? And for us, it's 3-4 items that is crucial. The discount rate and the transaction rate is really the 2 main components.
Yeah, at the time it stands today that the fee verifier is able to establish a certain rate and see the difference between that. There may be some flexibility in the future as we continue to develop this feature to include a variable or like a double check based on total transactions, and maybe a varied rate based on those numbers. So sometime in the future, maybe we'll be able to do that. So
Okay, yeah, I think that would be very powerful. Not that this is not, but because like our Schedule A has different tiers, and when we're setting up our Schedule A, if we can set that with the benchmark, with the volumes, with the tiers, and then we're done, and then that really will, watch our interest to make sure that we're getting paid correctly based on the Schedule A.
Yeah, right now, still in development. We're always working on this. So we actually have something on the back end already to determine. You can set different tiers of buy rate. So like you said, you may have 5 cents, and then you may also say it's okay for a merchant to be at 2 cents. We won't flag that because those are the different rates that you set up. So we'll be able to we'll release that a little further after some more testing, but right now being able to compare it to a current stagnant rate is what we have, but it's in the works. Yeah. Oh, you wanna? Oh.
Like a good example is like during COVID, we fell obviously down a tier or two. So, and then, or like at a particular month, we might just hit whatever number of transactions, and then February is a shorter month and not as, so then we would be going, when you just hit a tier, sometimes you go into that tier and then back out and then back in the next month, depending on the number of days or what's happening. So this is great, and I think it's awesome, but that also would be like an added benefit of having it just automatically say, oh, you're back up into this tier or you're back down. Because I think that we kind of have to do that manually just to make sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, we actually have that being developed. It's on the, so you're allowed to have different buy rates for a given process. So saying 2 cents, 3 cents for a certain transaction, for the transaction fees.
So I have a question. We haven't adopted this yet, but we will. One of the things that kind of haunts me, because we're a North ISO First Data, and we do a primarily Interchange Plus. Not all, but I'd say probably 90% of our portfolio is Interchange Plus. Anyone who knows the North on First Data, if you don't have certain fee sequence codes set up, you'll pay the expense, but you won't bill your merchant. I could just list 30 things that come out. Oh, this fee's been added, this fee's been added. It's not interchange, but it's a pass-through fee from the card brand that we will pay on the expense side. But if we don't add the fee sequence code on the merchant account, on the back office, there's no revenue to offset that.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, damn, that's probably, like I'm 1,000% certain our Schedule A is dead nuts on. I mean, I know that number like I know my Social Security number. Like, I'm more concerned with, does this tool say, hey, your total expense from interchange was $612.15, and the total revenue was $600. What's up? That would make me say, once you find something on the North, it's everywhere. Like you can quickly determine, hey, we're missing fee sequence code 123, and it needs to be on there. So does this tool allow that?
So that's a great question. So that besides calculating expenses, we also want you to be able to kind of do very quick maths. You'd be able to look at interchange specifically. So most of the time, as you guys know, interchange should be an expense that cancels out with the revenue. Being able to understand if you're going under, or if you're being billed correctly, or if you're billing your merchants correctly.
I'm going to give you an example that just happened last month.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff you won't catch until a rep says, hey, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Like, let's look at it. Yep. You take all revenue, all expense, and lo and behold, if they go to arbitration and there's this $500 fee, if you don't have the right fee sequence code set up, the expense comes through at $500, but you didn't bill the merchant.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, shoot, we just lost $500.
Yeah.
We had a merchant that wasn't doing NFC, and there was a MasterCard fine of $500. Who the hell even knew that? I mean, I guess it's possible. If we had this, we would say, hey, that was pass-through expense was $1,000. Yeah. Pass-through revenue was $500. If that stuck out like a sore thumb, we could then see that. That's how I see this tool being extremely powerful, if it can do that.
Oh.
From the processor, this tool right now goes from the processor to the ISO. And he's saying he'd like to see something similar from the ISO to the merchant. But the problem is that with that, it's always going to be off
But
because
it's,
you
no,
make money.
it's in the PASO, revenue and expense. I'm talking
Yeah,
just
so
interchange.
let me show you right here. So interchange, right? A very good example. Let's take a simple example right here. MasterCard interchange. We're able to create these kind of bundles that you are interested in, right? So if we're talking about First Data has different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. In this pass-through fee verifier, we're able to look at level 3 items. For example, MasterCard interchange. Yep, level 3 MasterCard interchange. You're able to create certain bundles, for example, the income side of interchange and compare it to the expense side. This way, you can look at the final number and you're kind of going under in this case. I had an example of a client not knowing their sequence codes, not maybe billing the merchants correctly, kind of like the example you said. And they were going under for about 6 months, $1,000. And they did not know. I put them on this new fee verifier. It's able to show you these kind of interchanges just like that. You can put all your interchange in here. It's totally customizable. You can edit here and look at the interchange.
So Mohammed, is what you're showing right now, would it be safe to say if there is a corresponding income and expense column, you could relate the two and have them verified?
Yeah.
Does that make you happy?
Yeah, no, this is, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you got to
As-
massage this stuff. Nothing's easy with First Data, as we all know. Everything becomes complicated.
Yeah, you have to set it up one time.
Yep.
You have to set up the corresponding fees when they become available, and then after that, it'll do its magic.
Yeah, sure. So, while I navigate through the site, it's right in Residual Import. Once you import the file, Iris would run all the calculations and your fee verifier would be calculated here. So you can look up a specified processor. This case, we're looking at the North.
Like,
Oh,
our detail file from First Data is too big to open as an Excel spreadsheet. Like, we have to actually export it through, what do we use? Access. So we have to do expense on one file, revenue on one file, sales on one file, and return. So we can't, if you open up the spreadsheet, you're missing like half of our merchants.
yeah. When we were.
Yeah. So we gotta, maybe we need to chop this thing down, or we gotta do something, but I'd like to first take 10 merchants and just beat it up and be like, let's figure it out. And once we
Yeah.
figure it out for 10, then we're like, okay, let's apply it. You guys, the experts, tell us we need to do something different because the file's so big.
Yeah, I think we were able to upload, not open it up as an Excel, but a CSV. I think we were able to open it up as a CSV. It just took a long time. Yeah, you could just imagine your residuals taking longer. So, right here is the impact. So this is once it's already imported, you'll be able to put it right in here, and this is the number that you should watch out for, this impact column. You can click it, it's a hyperlink. This button will do the same thing here. It works for First Data, North Omaha, PaySafe, the iAccess vertical reports. It works for TSYS Wholesale. It works for Vantiv and Elevon, a couple others I can't remember off the top of my head. And it will also work with custom reports if the information is there.
Hi, Mohammed. David here. Quick question on this. When you're going through this and you're putting the report through and you run it, are you able to also, if you put in the different pricing schedules for it to check, can you also verify on the debit networks to see if what's passing through on debit would be full interchange or if the switch fees are being billed twice? Because we're having a problem on TSYS side where it seems like our debit interchange cost is higher than it should be, and I can't quite figure it out. And we're thinking it might have something to do with on the reporting when it's coming through that those network switch fees are actually being billed twice instead of once. Is there a way to find those switch fees and verify that that's that specific situation going on?
So right here,
Because even though we know the problem, we don't have any way to break it down because the report's so large, it doesn't.
yeah, no, I understand. So right here is the example of a switch fee. You're able to look at the amount of counts or transactions of this switch fee, the amount of the amount that would billed to you for certain switch fees. So you can take a look at and all these fees, the batch, capture, incoming chargebacks, all those fees. You can look at how much you're being billed. So if you do see a duplicate billing, you could definitely find it right here without digging into the report.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, we need to do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Mohammed, this
How's it
seems
going?
equally as complex as building out the actual residuals. Is this something that you would help us with? Because this seems pretty in-depth.
Of course, of course. Every single one of you, if you're interested in starting this, we will have a sit down, a Zoom meeting. We'll set this up. We'll be able to verify a couple rates, and maybe find a couple things that you didn't even know. That's what I do with all of our clients. Yes, that's the.
Good morning, everyone, first of all.
How's it going?
And I want to say thank you to Dimitri. I'm probably among the first 10 merchants Dimitri boarded.
Wow.
And I've been with Iris since inception, pretty much, I've seen them grow from literally to this stage. It took, I think, millions of hours for them to do it.
10 years.
Yes, they have came a long ways. As far as the newcomers to Iris, I think I would recommend you guys to at least spend time, set up the meetings with them. And what you were talking about, uploading those residuals, they're very easy. You are able to see literally every one of those merchants with the profit sharings, and you know exactly where the losses are.
Yep.
I know Dimitri is working on towards getting the tiered system as processors are moving with their renewals with the contracts, where they're going on every other month or monthly or 3 months to change the residuals. I think that will come along. But they really have came a long ways. I think you guys do need to spend a little time and build up a report with them, and they will train you and get you to the next level.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
With addition to the tiered level of buy rates that we were talking,
Yep.
some processor, First Data, for an example, when you have your contract renewal done, they give you a new Schedule A. So, so if I have to break it down, they will give you a new sysprint.
Yeah.
So, in a very simple term, few merchant IDs will have a different Schedule A than the other merchant IDs.
Based on
So we
system.
need to incorporate that as well, along with the tiered system. We need to look it up on a sysprint level or a merchant ID level to plug in those Schedule A's. So we should have an option where we should have multiple Schedule A's in there, and we should be able to map it to individual. That's one time we need to set it up, and after that, your algorithms does the job for us.
Yeah, just to let you know, that's a very common thing where, for example, First Data has many sysprints. We calculate your buy rates and create this baseline on the given processor, but seeing this processor will have different sysprints and most likely different rates, we also calculate it based on the sysprint. So each sysprint will have its own set of rates. So you won't have to worry about overlapping. That was an initial issue that we fixed.
Yes, definitely. That is absolutely very normal and very common. So the hierarchy is supported on Fiserv. So on the Omaha, Sysprint would be the words. Agent Bank would be on North. On TSYS, Association Group. So you can do all of your different hierarchy, looking up the mids based on the different hierarchy. We understand it's not going to be just one Schedule A.
So what I want to show you now is something developed. It wasn't on there for First Data North. Might be a lack of an update, but this is the tiered system that we were talking about earlier. So we're looking at a TSYS report, Amex authorized or batch fee, right? We can look at you being charged 2 cents for a batch fee for thesis. You can change this. And you can actually enter a new rate here. So we can say 3 cents, and then we can set fee levels. You can have different kind of rates. So you can have a default rate. You can have a high risk, right? A high risk rate of maybe you're expected to pay 5 cents. This is the tiered system that we were talking about. We can add another level saying low risk. I'm just going to say LR because I can't type today. So you can have different tiered systems. This is how it's going to work. You can, and Iris will detect anything different than these rates. It'll be, I think it will even notify you when merchants jump from these different rates. Yeah, so this is the tiered system here. So you can have all types of varied rates for a given fee. Transactions being common. Yeah. Oh. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, will it also detect maybe if you're overbilling somebody, possibly? So,
Oh.
like, I know that that's not really something that you really think about, but is it, if it's giving you a difference, will it detect if you're actually, you have a merchant, maybe you're billing them for something that you shouldn't be billing for, or maybe you're billing them twice? Mm-hmm. I'll get agents calls sometimes, and we might have asked, somehow we put in dues and assessments, but then the dues and assessments will get bundled into one of our pricing, but then it's a separate fee also, and then it gets charged, and then the merchant gets charged twice in it. So then the agent's like, hey, their effective rate's higher, and then I look and I'm like, oh, we accidentally did this. We'll fix it, refund it. We don't have a problem with that. We don't want to overbill someone.
Well, I mean, you're making a lot of money then, right? So, so that's a good question. Being able to look at the income side of processes other than first data. Right now, being able to look at the income compared to the expense is on the first data side. However, it won't be too difficult to look at the income side for other processes as well. And then, but that would require some future development, so I appreciate the feedback and your interest in that topic. Yeah, and anyone else had a question? No, you're good? Okay. So, any questions about setting this tiered level rates for certain fees? Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Is the feature enabled on the live stream? I mean,
Live sites, yeah. This is all enabled. Yeah. And, oh. Yep. On both. Yeah. Any other questions so far? All good? Yeah, so this is the fee verifier. So you can set also these tiered rates, but you could also set it for a given month. So if a particular month had a certain tier rate, you can set it for that month. So when I go ahead and show you here this date filter, you'll be allowed to set rates for April, but maybe your rates for June are different. For May, they're different. So you can also not only set it by CISPRIN, but by tiers. You can set it by date, by years, and all these kind of customized verification checks. Yeah. Any questions on that? All right. So let's see here. We also have, I want to show you for let's see. We have for PaySafe. iAccess. So PaySafe, also a common one. It works very similarly. And you'll be able to see all these impacts from a first glance. You won't even be needing to dive into it, but being able to see what is causing these impacts, you'll be able to dive right in and see all the expenses that you get billed for. Yeah. So, any questions about the fee verifier at this time? All right, sounds good. Any questions about residuals in general? We could go on some tangents. I definitely don't mind. Any concerns or feedback on the residual module? Oh, sorry.
Can we set up buy rates like this on a sales rep level?
Oh yeah, of course. That's how.
No, I understand we have a Schedule A for the sales reps, but
Yeah.
how about we set up some items based on the income, like income expense comparison that we did here. So, for example, I want to say if the sales rep, my Schedule A for a PCI compliance on my sales rep is $5. But if he's able to sell that for $15, whatever is the above the buy rate, I'm willing to give a revenue share.
Yeah.
And if he sells it below the buy rate, that should come out of his residuals.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's very common with PCI to set a certain buy rate. Being able to calculate this information right here in the residual management section, you're able to set up Schedule A's. So taking PCI, for example, you can create a template, we call it, in our site. You guys call it Schedule A's for your agents, tomato, tomato. And we can add a new template here. So we can talk about, let's bring out North here. You could bring out like PCI, and you can adjust the income or the expense side of this item. For example, you most likely in your case would like to apply a charge to the agent. So let's say they charge $10 for PCI to the merchant. They have a $5 buy rate. You would just take your PCI compliance in your site and charge a $5 buy rate like this. This way, Iris will know to mark up whatever you're being charged for PCI, which is almost nothing, but mark that up to a standard cost. So if they charge $10, you guys will share in the revenue. Let's say it's a 50% split, both of you will earn $2.50. But if they sell below the $5 cost, you can do two things. You can share in that loss, or, so like if he had a 50% split, he would take on $2.50 of expense, or you can pass on the entire net income. That's what this pass-through button is here to do. If he were to go negative on that, he doesn't meet his buy rate, you could pass on the 100% of that loss to him and not to you. Oh, this is another good question. So I'm just going to say test. Right. Oh, being able to apply this on a certain sales rep is done this way. So at the bottom here, you have a table full of your sales rep, users in the site, business partners, etc. You can assign a certain template, a certain Schedule A that you've created to a given user. So I can look up sales rep and click on this magnifying glass and be able to give a certain rate for, in this case, apply new template for first data North, and it was that test template, lowercase t, right there. So not only can you assign for a given month, you can assign a template, a Schedule A, for a given month and onwards until you feel like changing it. So this way, every month, your residuals will be calculated for this agent at their costs that you've assigned. A lot of the times, a client makes one template, one set of fees, and applies it to all their agents. We have many templates for many different users, right? Question.
Yeah. You and I have gone through this a few times, but this is something that Jason wanted me to ask you about. We have a situation where we have merchants, agents that might be on like a 70 split, but then there's certain things that we have, like maybe a software fee that we're passing on our POS support, that we only want to share 50% of the revenue over a cost. So say our cost is $30, but the agent wants to charge the merchant 50. So the 30 is fine, we take that 30 out, that's the cost. But after that, the $20 that we have, we want to have a way to where we can split that $20 with them only at a 50%, but the rest of everything else that they have is on a 70 split. So that one aspect comes through only on a 50 split. Is there a way to separate that out for that one particular
Item.
Item, right?
That's a great question. So depending on the report, we can create custom kind of templating for you. What process will we be?
It'd be on TSYS, so
It'd
we
be
can
on
add that
TSYS.
to our billing. So like we're now able to add stuff to our statement, so we want to bill a customer out through their statement, which is easier. So it bills it from the statement. Here, Jason's going to take over.
So right now, I kind of set some billing up through QuickBooks, and we just split at a 50% split with the agent, like just some software fee, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. But if that particular agent's on a 75 split, I want to
To get 50%.
I want to put it on the statements now, but I only want to split. I only want to split at the low rate, because if I load it onto the statements, now we're actually going to be losing revenue, because we already have the revenue there, and there's actually quite a few of them we have.
That's a great question.
I can separate those line items, and we can call those like a specific thing. So I can call it software fee. It shows up on the statement software fee, and we can find it just like we do with each of the items. So we can pinpoint that through the report. We set up a merchant account for ourselves and bill ourselves for all those things. So it's separated, so we can see it when we get the report, and we'll be able to see that separate. So we build our own selves for all that, so we can see the separation. But I wasn't sure if that comes through, if we can take that one particular item and just change the percentage, even though the agent's on a 70 split, because I know how that works. You're on a 70% and does it for the full revenue on everything.
Yeah.
Is there a way to just separate that one item?
Like having a cost to it, and then split the difference on their rate above. But the problem is, it's a variable cost. Like sometimes you charge 70, sometimes you charge 30.
Because it depends on how many stations the merchant has.
Yeah. Yeah, so how I would troubleshoot that is to be able to take the income. You could do, just on this test template here, it would just work like this PCI. Let me pull this up here. Here you can take a certain fee, right? And instead of replace with, oh, no, wrong test, this one. So like for TSYS or First Data, you can take a certain income item. We can do PCI as well. We could take this certain income item and apply a certain percentage of that, right? That's the first thing we would do. So, if they would add a 75% split, it'd be a little tricky to put them 50% of this one item, because they're gonna get 75% of every other item. So being able to isolate this income item, and then using this apply pass-through for any value, you're going to be passing through 50% regardless of their split. So for this one item. So that's how you would handle that. And then you could apply whatever cost you want to that. But like I said, that would be a straightforward cost, a standard cost. Yes, you would create two fees, one as a cost to them, and then one rule adjusting the income they earn by saying that you want to multiply by 50%. So they would earn 50% and 100% of the 50%. So that's how you would handle that. Yeah. Oh, you wanna? Man, live troubleshooting. I did not expect this.
So an agent can have multiple Schedule A's, right?
An agent can have one Schedule A per user account. The way that we handle varied rates across one agent is that we have separate portfolios, users in the site. We'll have I have on my test site Rob Smith being this guy who has many buy rates for one given processor, let's say First Data, and then he has different portfolios then. We create 3 separate users. Each of those sub-users under Rob Smith will have different portfolios, different buy rates, different merchants, and then the master user who signs in will see all 3 of those breakdowns. Kind of just like an ISO.
So an agent has to have multiple user
Accounts.
login to be able to have multiple Schedule A's.
Yes, but at the end of the day, they'll be just logging into the one account. It's just that you have to create the 3 different portfolios under his account.
Gotcha. And then, as far as I know, it's not here today, but is that requirement, not requirement, the dream that we've been talking for being able to know how much each agent is, how much we're profiting from each agent seamlessly without exporting and doing is that something that's going to take place?
Sometime in the future, I believe it'll be a powerful tool for everyone in this room to be able to calculate how much profit was earned on a per user basis. Technically, it's available. The data is there. You just got to do some Excel magic to cross-reference what you earned as an ISO to what you're actually paying out after your Schedule A's and showing the profitability on those users. It could be done in Excel. We've done it. We have not started working on it. We're going to be discussing it. It's just we were working on the fee verifier. So, well, we do have a canny request. If you agree with it, you can always go ahead into the canny and upvote it. And that's, yeah, you can. So right here, it's,
Joe Schmo. Hey, Joe Schmo, you're out. I got a couple Joe Schmoes, by the way. More than one.
I don't remember the name.
So, seeing as how we're in the troubleshooting 101 here, I'm just going to throw another one out that's
Sure.
confounded me that, which I probably just don't know. We have a couple of agent offices that have a name, like the Jones company, but there's like 3 people that are all sharing that residual. Like we pay the Jones company.
Sure.
And it could be agent 1, 2, or 3.
Yep.
They all want to see Iris. How do we get them so that they can all log in? Because right now they're sharing one login.
One login.
We don't, it's a huge pain in the rear end to tell them, you guys have to share a login. They kind of look at us with a little squirrely eye like, what are you talking about? So we have more of those than you would think. So that's a challenge. So is there a way to solve it? And if there isn't, we'll go to the live voting and just say yes.
I'm with you on that.
There is a way to do it. I don't entirely recommend the way because you can assign, let's say, these 3 accounts under the Jones group. You can assign all 3 of the users with the same splits and then exclude the 2 from payouts. So at the end, your payouts and commissions are correct, but it still will report that you're paying them those 3 users on the My Residual page. So.
I would be okay with saying it's really just about the access. Like all of the accounts, all the split, we're not paying agent 1, 2, and 3. It might be Jim, Kristen, and Bob. We're paying the Jones company, which those 3 might be a third partners in that. I don't even care how they are set up. All 3 of them could board deals. Maybe Bob deals a ton and Kristen only deals 1, but it doesn't matter to us. They're going to board, like sub-users.
Yeah.
They're going to have access to that. They want to be able to see it, and it would be extremely helpful for us if that was the case. And we don't need fancy, like pay this one, this percent. We're paying that company.
Yeah.
So it's...
You would have a Jones user, right? And you're
Yeah.
paying that company.
Right.
You can actually have that. Is that Jones user paying out any other people? Or is the Jones user even
No.
paying anyone?
to my knowledge, I don't care what they do. Once I pay them
Yeah.
their piece.
Yeah, we could do that. So basically, it would be you might have it like set up reversed.
Yeah.
So the 3 users who want visibility
Yeah.
to all the information or all the
Yeah.
residual information under the Jones group,
Yeah.
they need to be managers with no manager split. That way they are on the top level. So you would be paying out the Jones
Yep.
user.
Yeah.
They're just on the side being able to look at the accounts. Yeah. So
How
it
do
will
we
look-
get them a login?
Who?
Like, let's just say the Jones account is that corporate.
Yeah.
And there's 3 individual users. We set them up as managers, but it's like
They
like
have their
Sean
own
McGrail, Kathleen McGrail, Zach McGrail. We're all at Integrity Merchant Solutions. We all sell.
Yeah.
We need to see Integrity Merchant Solutions.
They,
like
they'll
how
have
we do
the.
that.
You'll have your own login.
So
No
just-
one will kick out anyone. There's
All
3
right.
separate logins, 3 separate
So
users.
they're assigned to every one of the accounts as a manager.
Yep.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Yeah. For visibility, not for splits.
Yeah.
It would work something like this. Let me show you.
I'm sorry to be hijacking this. I don't mean it to-
No. This.
Yeah.
This is. I told Dimitri warned you guys about tangents. This is what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So, right here. Let me see. Which I just set this up earlier today. Okay, Sales Manager 2. We're gonna publish this. Yeah, publish only. So they'll have like a view once the report's published. A manager will always have the ability to look at their subordinates'
Yeah.
residual accounts, right? So the idea is that you want to be able to go in. We're gonna view as this manager. I think it's manager 2. Don't quote me on that. And be able to check out. Oh man, check out the residuals here. 1 second. So this manager will be able to look at the sub sales user. So this
So
is
when
the
we're
portfolio.
boarding a deal, we have to have the Jones company as who's selected when we board it, and even though and then there could be 2 or 3 or 10 managers. All right, Kathleen figured it out, so we're good.
How do you want to ask?
I think you're saying like in the user screen
Yeah.
for whatever the name of the group is, the Jones Company, when it says this user reports to, you set up those people, the other 3 people, and they'll see it as managers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I
that's
got it.
just
I
like
got it.
this. Like they'll log in, like Kathleen, Sean, and Zach will log in and be able to see this portfolio here. This kind of works with the same way as if an agent has multiple portfolios, that manager will be able to see his multiple portfolios. In this case, it's 3 people being able to see 1 portfolio. So, completely fine. Yeah, we could do that. Troubleshooting on the go. That's what we do. Any other questions about residuals? Oh.
She was saying, is there, because we already
Oh,
set,
wait.
we set Rhonda up like that, so she's already a manager of ours, so she can go and see everything. Now we have sub agents that we have set up. I don't think our people are set up the right way because we've been with you guys a few years. When we first set this up, we just did it to use it, right?
Yeah.
We're not actually so we got to fix some of those things. Yeah. But is there a minimum number of those? So let's say we have one of our agents that has 20 agents underneath him. Is there a minimum of the number of managers? Like maybe their company, the Joneses, has 14 people managing the one portfolio. Is there a limitation to any of those
No.
tiers? Okay,
All those accounts can be able to see
everything.
that one portfolio being the Jones.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Exiting this. So, any other questions about fee verifier? Any potential setups that you guys want to talk about? And any other questions about residuals? Well, I think that's good. With that being said, right, if you guys don't have any questions here, if you think of something and you want to walk by the booth, I'll have my laptop. If you want to talk about anything personal, we'll be in the corner, and no one's going to see anything. So if you want to talk about some personal stuff on your site, I'll be willing to help you guys out here. All right? Troubleshooting on
Awesome.
the go.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Oh, thanks. Oh, man. Stop it.